Welcome to the Adding and Subtracting Rational Expressions notes. Over on the left, you're going to see that we have really three steps. I'm going to call it rocks. The R stands for rewrite the problems with a common denominator. The C stands for combining the numerators. You got to combine like terms. And S stands for simplify. This will usually involve some factoring. And I'm just going to kind of jump right in and kind of re-explain these steps as I go. You'll notice on this very first example that the denominators are actually already the same. So on this one, we're just practicing how to combine the numerators together. And if you ever notice that there is a minus right here, that actually distributes to the n and the 1, meaning that we're actually doing negative n minus 1. And we're really going to add those together at this point. So that's just me distributing that negative. So I'm going to keep the n squared out front because it doesn't have any other n squareds to add to. Then I have 3n and negative 1n. And 3n minus 1n is 2n. Then I have negative 7 and negative 1, which makes negative 8 when I add them together. The bottom, however, stays the exact same. When you are adding fractions, 2/3 plus 4/3 is 6/3. So you don't change sort of like the units to the fraction, which is the denominator. You keep it the same. Then to simplify, you have to factor the top and the bottom to make sure that something doesn't cross out. For example, they are both trinomials, so you need to find what multiplies to the last number and adds to the middle number. So 4 times 2 is 8, and if I make it positive 4 and negative 2, it multiplies to negative 8 and adds to 2. On the denominator, I need two numbers that actually multiply to negative 6 and add to 1 in the middle, which is positive 3 and negative 2. And the whole point of doing that is there is an n minus 2 on the top and the bottom that cancel out. So your final answer is n plus 4 over n plus 3. Now, it gets a little bit harder when you have to make the common denominator yourself. So, for example, on the next one, our denominators are a squared and 8a. So, if I want them to match, this one over here on the left needs an 8 out front. And to achieve your common denominator, you are only allowed to multiply by something. The reason why I'm allowed to multiply by 8 on the top and the bottom is because 8 divided by 8 is 1. So when I multiply by 1, I don't change a number, which is why it's fine as long as you do it to the top and the bottom. Now, over on the right side, I only have a, but I need a squared, so I need to multiply by another a. So that both of them now have 8a squared as the denominator. And on the top, I have to actually multiply the things that I've set up together. So 8 times 4a is 32a. And then I'm subtracting the 7a from the other fraction. And 32 minus 7 is 25. So I have 25a over 8a squared. 25 and 8 don't have any common factors, so that can't simplify. But this a on the top can cross out one of the a's from the bottom. Remember that a squared is just a times a. So this a can cross out one of these a's, and you still have an a left on the bottom. Because there were 2, and now there's only 1. Let's go ahead and move on to the next example. the first thing I'm going to do is look at the denominators and make sure that I find a common denominator first. Before I can do that, I need to make sure that they are both factored. Y plus 8 cannot be factored, but for the other one, the two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 11 in the middle are 3 and 8. So we're going to rewrite this denominator as y plus 3 times y plus 8. Now we just have to look between the two denominators and ask ourselves, what is one missing that the other one has? The first one is missing the y plus 3. And now they both have y plus 8 and y plus 3, so that is going to be our common denominator. And for the top part, we have 7y plus 3 plus 35, because we have to add the two numerators together. Now you might notice that I can't actually add anything on the top until I go ahead and multiply this together first. So I'm going to do that as my next step. This will be 7y, and 7 times 3 is 21. Then I'm going to go ahead and actually add the 21 and 35 together, which is 56. And to fully simplify the numerator, I'm going to see if there's a greatest common factor between 7 and 56. That is 7 itself, which leaves me with y plus 8. 56 divided by 7 is 8. Then I'm going to replace that on the top of my fraction. And look for something that can cross out. The y plus 8s can cross out. And my final answer is 7 over y plus 3. Let's move on to example 4. Again, I have to factor the denominator first. I can divide the first one by 5, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. If I divide by 5, I have k minus 2 left, which actually, I already noticed, matches the other side except for the 5 in front. So that's really all I need to do to the other fraction. And now they both have 5. Ooh, sorry about that. 5k minus 2 on the bottom. And I just need to subtract the top parts, the numerators, which is k squared minus 16, or plus 16, minus 5 times 4 is 20. Then sort of over here to the side, and you can draw a little line if you need to, so that you know this is just your side work. 16 minus 20 is negative 4. So that leaves me with k squared minus 4. And you should recognize that that is two perfect squares. So it's a difference of two squares, which means you're going to do the square root of both of them, k and 2, and make one of them a plus and one of them a minus. That factorization should start to become pretty easy for you because it's one we've seen a lot of. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that on the top of my fraction over here. But the denominator isn't changing. Once I've gotten a common denominator, that's all I have to do with the denominator until I have it all factored and I can go ahead and cross out things like k minus 2. So k plus 2 over 5 is my final answer. Second to last example. Both of the denominators on this one need to be factored. The only reason I know that is because I can actually divide the first one by 4, which leaves me with p minus 5. And the other one has 3 terms. And if it has 3 terms, you are always going to end up factoring it. In this case, I'm looking for what multiplies to 15 and adds to -8, which is -3 and -5. Then you're always looking to see what is the left side's denominator missing that the right side has, and that's just the p minus 3. Then the right side is missing the 4 out in front, like that. So my new denominator is 4p minus 5, p minus 3. Or 4p minus 3, p minus 5. It doesn't matter what order you write them in. And on top, I have 2p minus 3 plus 4p minus 6. And I'm going to go ahead and simplify that over here on the right side. You can just work with the top part if you need to for a minute. Just don't forget that the denominator still has to be there. So I have to multiply out the parentheses or I can't see what to add together. So this is going to be 2p minus 2 times 3 is 6. And 4p and 4 times -6 is -24. If this problem had been subtracting right here in the middle instead, I would have multiplied that by -4 instead of 4, just FYI. And then I'm going to add the p's together. That gives me 2p plus 4p is 6p. And -6 plus -24 is -30. The biggest number I can divide both of those by now is 6, leaving me with p minus 5. So I have 6p minus 5 as my new combined and simplified numerator. But the denominator is still 4p minus 5, p minus 3. And I notice that I have a p minus 5 on top and bottom. And I can divide 6 and 4 out front by 2, which turns the 6 into 3 and the 4 into a 2. The only thing I have left on the top now is 3. And in the denominator, I have that 2 out front and the p minus 3 at the end. And that's it. All right, last question. This one is my favorite type of factoring on the bottom, difference of squares. The reason it's my favorite is you don't have to ask yourself what multiplies to something. You just do the square root of m squared, which is m, the square root of 4, which is 2, and make one of them m plus 2 and the other one, m minus 2. Then, to get these two denominators to match, I just need the one on the right side to also have m plus 2. Now they are both m plus 2, m minus 2. So that's going to be my common denominator when I add them together. And the numerator is going to be the first one, m squared plus 5m plus 6. And then I'm going to add 2 times m plus 2. And again, I'm going to have to come over to the side and do a little bit of this work because I have to take this 2 and multiply it to the m and the 2 inside of the parentheses, which leaves me with m squared plus 5m plus 6. I already had that. And now I'll have 2m plus 4 left at the end. And I need to add the m's together. 5m plus 2m is 7m. And the constants together, 6 plus 4 is 10. The m squared didn't have anything to combine with, so it's just still m squared in front. And now I need to find the two numbers that multiply to 10 and add to 7, which is positive 5 and positive 2. So that is going to be the simplified numerator. And the denominator is still m plus 2, m minus 2. And you should always have something that cancels out. In this case, it's the m plus 2's. So my final answer is m plus 5 over m minus 2.